Hello, everyone. Here's a quick summary of the movie Red Right Hand. Enjoy. Cash Williams lives in rural America and often visits his only close relatives, his niece Savannah and her father Finney. Finney has been depressed and drinks heavily since his wife, Cash's sister, passed away. The only things keeping him going are his teenage daughter and his work on the farm. However, he has stopped going to church. The sermons are delivered by Father Wilder, a former dangerous criminal. Savannah showed off her new knife to him. She and her uncle were waiting for her father at a diner, but he never showed up. While Cash stepped away to call him, three shady guys sat down at their table. The thugs reluctantly let the girl go and started talking about the farm. When Cash brought Savannah home, Finney was already drunk out of his mind. Cash, who also struggled with alcohol in the past, had managed to quit. His main problem now was his brother-in-law, who had mortgaged the farm to a local gang leader nicknamed Cat. Thanks to this idiot, the family now owed $100,000 to the ruthless crime boss. Meanwhile, two junkies planned to deliver supplies to Cat's drug lab, but one fell into a pit and was impaled on spikes, while the other got caught in a trap. Cash visited the banker, Zeke, to discuss the debt. It turned out that Cat wouldn't leave the family alone unless Cash did some work for her. At the same time, gangsters arrived at the farm and broke into Finney's house. A thug named Bull beat the man and sent another goon, Lanny, to deal with Savannah. Savannah slashed Lanny's face with her knife, but he responded by punching her. Finney and the girl were dragged outside, and Finney was shot in front of his daughter. However, later we learned that Bull actually fired near Finney's ear, only knocking him unconscious. Cash went to the sheriff, who reminded him of his past as one of Cat's men. While the sheriff wanted to put the gang leader behind bars, they needed solid evidence. The former criminal had no choice but to visit Cat's estate. He wanted to know why she was targeting his family. Cat didn't care about the farm or his foolish brother-in-law. What she wanted was for her best hitman to return to work. To pay off the debt, Cash had to complete 3 tasks, and he was forced to agree. Later that evening, Cat personally punished the surviving junkie, cutting off one of his fingers to ensure he wouldn't steal from her again. That same night, Bull came for Cash. It was time to complete the first job. A beaten Harley was thrown out of a car near a store. He immediately called someone, and soon a car arrived to pick him up. A gang gathered in the forest, planning to take revenge on Cat and attack her. However, Cat acted preemptively. The rest of her crew arrived at the house, armed with shotguns and rifles. Cash was also given a gun, though it had no bullets. In just a few seconds, 4 out of 5 gang members were gunned down. The last one tried to escape through the back door, but Cash knocked him out, and Lanny finished him off. Finney decided to quit drinking for good and poured all the booze down the sink, which greatly pleased his brother-in-law. Later that evening, Cash met the preacher at a bar and shared his story. He and his sister had been using drugs for a long time until she died of an overdose. In the middle of the night, Cash got another call. This time, he needed to deal with Lazarus. Cat had found out that Lazarus was working on the side. Tonight, Cash's job was simply to be the driver while Wes handled the dirty work. Lazarus got in the car. First, they were to meet with buyers for a large shipment. The car stopped in a clearing. Lazarus and Cash unloaded the crates, but Wes started acting strange. Lazarus noticed but didn't expect his old partner to suddenly shoot him. Cash was shocked. Lazarus was supposed to be dealt with after the meeting, not before. The buyers were set to arrive in just 15 minutes, and they hadn't even hidden the body yet. A car arrived at the clearing, and serious-looking people stepped out, including 2 armed guards with rifles. The leader was furious to see 2 unknown men instead of his usual contact. Wes got nervous, so Cash took over the negotiations. The bearded leader noticed blood on Cash's shoe. Cash quickly drew his gun and suggested they focus on finishing the deal instead of minor distractions. The leader reluctantly agreed. A few seconds later, only 1 shooter out of the 3 was still alive. The guy fired a few more shots before fleeing into the forest, but Cash chased him down and shot him in the leg. The seasoned gangster proposed to finally close the deal, saying there had been enough bodies for one day. Cash threw the bag of money into the car, and the last guy drove off with the goods. But there was a problem. The car broke down after the shootout. Cash called Finney for help, and his brother-in-law arrived at the clearing to pick him up. The bodies and money were loaded onto Finney's pickup truck, and Cash destroyed the van. While washing off the blood, Cash told Finney this was the second of 3 tasks he was performing to settle the debt. Cash met with Deputy Duke and told him he wanted to take Kat down. He explained that she had numerous labs producing massive amounts of drugs. Duke agreed to use his connections, while Cash marked all the lab locations on a map. Meanwhile, Finney and Cash taught Savannah how to shoot a rifle, and she showed real skill. One day, Duke stopped a suspicious woman who tried to bribe him with $100. When Duke demanded she get out of the car and open the trunk, she pulled a gun but ended up cuffed on the ground. In her trunk, Duke found a large stash of pills and powders. The courier warned Duke he wouldn't live long. Later that evening, Buck and Lanny came for Cash, taking him to Kat's mansion, where a grand banquet was underway. It turned out Zeke wasn't just a banker, he was Kat's beloved son and heir to her criminal empire. Kat referenced the recent incident in the clearing, stating she was glad to have rehired Cash because she had big plans for him. In the past, Cash had to burn his hand to leave her crew. The evening's main attraction was an injured Deputy Duke, bound and seated in a chair. This exemplary cop had been a thorn in their side for too long. To set an example, Kat ordered a brutal demonstration. The deranged brothers, Buck and Lanny, grabbed hammers and shattered Duke's knees. Duke begged for his life, saying he had a son, but Kat was just getting started. Even her crew recoiled in horror, refusing to participate further. Cash stepped in, offering to take Duke into the woods and quietly dispose of him. Cash was tasked with burying whatever remained of Duke's body. The bandit believed this would be the end of their cooperation, his third and final task. However, Kat didn't care about their agreement. She coldly stated that Savannah would live only as long as Cash continued working for her organization. Devastated, Cash returned home, realizing he needed a new plan. The next morning, Buck discovered that the murdered officer had been on the phone with Cash. Cash understood that staying hidden wasn't an option. He began driving around Kat's territory, marking all her labs on the map. Meanwhile, Finney visited church for the first time since his wife's funeral, but couldn't stay. He apologized to Savannah for being a bad father, promising things would change. Suddenly, Buck's car stopped in front of them, and 2 thugs with bats got out. Finney tried to fight back but was quickly overpowered and beaten to the ground. Father Wilder intervened, managing to protect Savannah long enough for her to escape. Finney, gravely injured, was rushed to the hospital, but Cash arrived too late. Finney had just passed away. Savannah now had only her uncle. At Kat's mansion, the sheriff, who had been protecting her all along, arrived to confront her. A murder had occurred in front of witnesses, but Kat warned him that if he pressed her, he'd end up like his deputy. Cash was determined to protect Savannah, knowing the police couldn't save them. He prayed, asking God for the strength to take down all these criminals. The first to die was a drug addict lounging nearby. Slaney tried to fight back, but was killed with a shot to the head, though not before managing to knock Cash down. When Kat learned about the incident, she sent her men to Father Wilder's house, suspecting he was hiding the girl. Wilder managed to fend off one thug with a frying pan, but the others overpowered him. Savannah was indeed hiding in the attic, but to save Wilder from being beaten to death, she revealed herself and allowed herself to be captured. Cash rushed to Wilder's house and learned that Kat intended to exchange his life for Savannah's. But Cash wasn't about to play by her sadistic rules. Together with Wilder, they stormed a bank, taking Zeke hostage. They had nothing to lose. Kat had 3 sons, but now only one remained alive, for now. Cash called her, proposing a hostage exchange at the quarry. Kat, however, warned that she'd kill Savannah if Cash didn't come to her mansion immediately. Cash made his way to the mansion through the woods, avoiding traps along the way. Wilder tied Zeke to the hood of a car and drove him to Kat, intending to conduct the exchange, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Meanwhile, Cash ambushed one of Kat's guards, using a trap to kill him. Savannah, tied up, managed to maneuver herself close to the fireplace, cutting her bonds with an iron poker. Nearby hung a rifle, which Savannah quickly grabbed and used without hesitation. The exchange went awry, and a firefight broke out. Wilder was targeted, but the gunmen were careful not to hit Zeke. As they flanked the car from both sides, Wilder shot one of them. Cash emerged from the woods, taking out two more before sneaking into the mansion. Zeke managed to free himself and hide behind a tree, but a red-haired thug grabbed a rifle and shot Wilder several times. Wounded, the thug tried to flee into the woods, but Kat's vicious dogs, left unattended, attacked and tore him apart. Kat found her son dying in agony. Wilder got into a shootout with another thug, ultimately emerging victorious, but suffering a shoulder wound before losing consciousness. Bull tries to reach Savannah, but it's not easy as the girl fires back with a rifle. Unfortunately, she runs out of ammunition just as Cash arrives to help. He charges at Bull, but the brute pulls out a knife and stabs Cash in the stomach. Bull prepares to finish him off, but Cash grabs a shard from a broken vase and slashes Bull's throat. Cash finds Savannah and is about to leave with her when Kat returns to the house. She shoots Cash in the leg with a rifle, then fires another shot, hitting his side. Cash tells his niece to jump out of the window and run out of the state. Reluctantly, Savannah obeys, but Cash is hit by another bullet. However, Savannah doesn't abandon her uncle. She circles back into the house and drives her knife into Kat's temple, killing her. Wilder recovers from his injuries and eventually returns to his congregation. Cash survives as well, stepping in to take on the role of a father for Savannah. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more stories like this, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any new uploads.